The Rewind.
The Rewind Sports 60. From the city of big shoulders, the jewel of the Midwest, comes a sports show that's one of a kind. From iconic players to iconic stadiums to iconic teams, this is my kind of town. Chicago! And the Rewind Sports 60 is my kind of show. From Air Jordan to sweetness to Papa Bear Hallis, this city works hard, but plays even harder. Lillian Pagan, Mai Akai, and Jerry Riles bring you the Rewind Sports 60. This week on the Rewind Sports 60, the Hawks travel to Vancouver tonight, trying to win back-to-back games for the first time in over a month. Did the Cubs get caught stealing signs in a Cactus League game? Is it time to blow this Bulls team up? And 2 number ones go down as half of the Final Four is set in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Live from Kroll's South Loop, the Rewind Sports 60. The Rewind Sports 60 starts now.
Live from Kroll's South Loop in the beautiful city of Chicago, you've got the Rewind Sports 60. I'm, of course, your host, Jerry Riles. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy it. The next hour, we got a fun-filled show on tap for you, sports galore. So definitely make sure you check it out. We're streaming live on the RewindSports60.com. The RewindSports60.com. But if you happen to miss our broadcast, we start every day, every Sunday at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here at Kroll's South Loop. But we're also, if you missed the broadcast, we rebroadcast Sunday night, 10 p.m. on Cable 25 here in Chicago. Cable 25 on your RCN, WOW, and Comcast cable outlet. So make sure you check us out on the rebroadcast, 10 to 11 p.m. Jerry Riles, along with the beautiful, talented panel of the Rewind Sports 60.
Oh.
Mai Akai, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jerry? Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you as well. And, of course, joining us for our March Madness NCAA Tournament basketball conversation and breakdown of all the games, we're going to get it to the Final Four, is our good friend Joe Davenport, assistant basketball coach, men's basketball coach at Roosevelt University, and he's also the former head basketball coach at Daly College here in Chicago. But we got a U-turn in the program, ladies and gentlemen. We're making a U-turn. You see these beautiful young ladies behind us here on the set of the Rewind Sports 60? We got to say hello to a team out of Texas, Austin, Texas, as a matter of fact. This is the Texas Eclipse team. Ladies, how are you?
Good.
Yeah. What? You kind of tired?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why are you tired?
We just came from a volleyball tournament.
We've been here since Thursday.
Since Thursday. So tell us a little bit about the tournament. I guess it's going on at McCormick Place here in Chicago, and you guys got into town when?
Thursday.
Okay.
So,
and how many games have you guys played so far?
7, I'm pretty sure.
How many games did you play today?
2. Or, no, 1. Just 1.
So what's our record here in Chicago? What are we doing here? That's they're from Austin, Texas. They're not from Chicago. No, what's your record? I mean, you guys played for the tournament games. How many games have you won?
I don't know. We've ranked 17 out of 142.
Oh wow.
Okay,
oh really?
You guys are a traveling club team, right?
Yeah.
So tell us how you got involved in that. That must mean you really love volleyball, right?
Yeah. I started like 3 years ago when I was 12, and I was doing like cheer and volleyball at the same time, so I had to quit cheer for volleyball and stuff. So.
Okay, how about you?
I've been doing it since I was 12, and it's just, I never had really tried it before. It just kind of just went out on a limb and tried out, and I loved it, so I've been doing it ever since.
Wait, hold on. Ladies, you all have names. So it's only proper that we ask you what your names are, starting with name.
I'm Isabel.
Dylan. McKenna.
Kinsey.
Okay, and then they all have really fly names. So allegedly everything is bigger in Texas. You're here in Chicago, the city of big shoulders. How have this been working out for you? Have you seen any of the city?
Yeah. We saw the Bean yesterday.
What did you think of the Bean?
That was my favorite part of Chicago.
Well, I just walked around, ate at the Dylan's candy shop.
Yeah, that was cool.
We went down the Magnificent Mile, which was really cool. We went down all the stores and stuff.
What's that famous pizza place? Like Giordano's.
Giordano's, yeah.
That was good.
One of my favorites. Very good.
Okay, so you've done a lot of the Chicago stuff. Yeah. Did you see the Willis Tower, a.k.a. Sears Tower?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do the skydeck tomorrow.
So. The skydeck, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you guys have in plan?
I think we're just going to wander around and check it out because it's a lot bigger than Austin, which is cool. I mean, Austin only has like 5 skyscrapers. In Chicago, they're everywhere. So
doesn't Austin do a really big festival called South by Southwest or something? See, even we heard about that in Chicago. Okay, let's get back to the volleyball, though. So you're ranked. I mean, you have a pretty high ranking out of 100-plus teams. What's the name of the tournament that you're in that's here?
Windy City National Qualifier Team.
Okay. Is it a newer tournament? Is it something that's been around for a while?
I think it's been around for a while.
So you're ranked, you said 17th? How are you ranked as a club team? How do you get involved in this overall?
Just playing in tournaments and doing really good. It'll like get you a higher rank and
Are you like in a league? And a lot of times there's different like kind of leagues or divisions like around the country. So is that kind of what gets you tied into the tournament?
Yeah.
What's the name of your league?
we're just the 14 national, so we're in the nationals.
Okay.
How many girls on your team? I see it's just 4 of you guys right now.
Yeah.
But they're
fly home.
oh, they already left. So you guys kind of are hanging around Chicago just to try to get a little bit more sightseeing going in, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Are you guys missing school?
Yes.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Easter break.
That's a good thing.
Spring break, you had some time off.
We have snow the next day that we come back.
Our benchmark testing, our student benchmark testing, like the biggest test of the year, right as we come back. So that's pressure.
Pressure.
No pressure on that.
Just a little bit.
Well, volleyball comes over.
Student athlete was
So you guys are here with coaches and parents?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your coaches, how long have they been working with you guys?
We've just had them since November for our coach.
So it's a new staff.
Well, yeah, she's been doing coaching other teams, but our team's been since November.
You move up every age level and you get new coaches as you go.
I see.
It's like there's different levels in each age group, and they all have different coaches.
So who is the? I guess I want to ask who's the best on the team? Who's the best? Come on, it's okay because you guys are a team. Or you guys are all equal in ability and skill and talent.
Well, we have different positions, so like
We all play a big role.
We play the same position. She's setter and she's middle.
Oh, okay.
We all have our own roles, and I mean, we're on the top team at our club, so the roles that we do have, everybody is really, really very trained in their roles. So, yeah.
That's a great point. You all know your roles, you accept your roles, and you play your roles. Sounds like the recipe for a really good volleyball team.
Yeah, and you also have to be able to just play the other people's roles if something happens. So we're all pretty well-rounded, I'd say.
Good teammates as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
And real quick, and ladies, we appreciate you guys joining us on the Rewind Sports 60, no question about it. Impromptu, ladies and gentlemen. Very impromptu, but we have to address all our sports fans and all the young ladies and young gentlemen who are participating in sports, not only in the city of Chicago and the surrounding areas, but throughout the country. Now, as far as the tournament is concerned, you said there are over 100 teams competing in this tournament. Do you know the total number?
There's 120 in the thing that we were doing, but there's a higher.
I think there's about 180-ish.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And is represented every state in the country represented in this tournament? All 50 states are.
I don't
If they signed up to play
Well, there's
for
like
this
a lot
tournament.
more teams from Texas. We're not like the only team from Texas,
So
but it's just.
we think Texas, we think football. Is volleyball? No, really. So it sounds like it's something that's a popular sport in Texas?
Yeah, it's taken pretty seriously. I mean, football is the guys' thing, volleyball is the girls' thing. Like, they're huge down there. They're the main thing.
Now, are you guys, since there are multiple teams representing the state of Texas, are you the number one team out of Texas?
No.
Really?
you are.
We're actually from Texas.
Of course you are, right?
Texas. It's Texas and California that has most of the volleyball teams in this tournament. So it's a lot of Texas teams.
Okay. Well, ladies, I want to say thank you again for joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. It's a pleasure, and we really, really appreciate it. What did you guys think about Kroll, South Loop? This is our home. We broadcast, as I started off by saying, every Sunday, 6 to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is our home. What do you guys think of Kroll's?
Good. I like it, yeah.
I had the burger
Wings. Yes.
Yeah, the wings are very good. My favorite is next time you guys come, you bring the coaches and you bring the parents. Next time you guys come, you gotta have the thin crust pizza.
It's really good.
Try the Supreme. It's delicious. It goes right to you. I'm telling you, it's fantastic. Thanks again for joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. Enjoy the rest of Chicago.
Yes,
it's the Magnificent Mile, no question about it. This is the Magnificent Mile on the south end. You guys enjoy this and very well take all the pictures. Snapchat. You guys do all that social media stuff. Well, make sure you guys got some pictures. Tweet it out. Instagram. Snapchat. Do it all. We need all the exposure we can get here at the Rewind Sports 60 globally. That's exactly what we want to do. Thank you very much again for joining us on the program. Good luck to you. Have a safe trip back, ladies. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, it doesn't get any better than this. It doesn't get any better. You guys got the dab. It doesn't get any better than this. I tell you, Joe Davenport, Mai Akai, and Jerry Riles, the hits just keep coming. If you thought that was something, just lock it in, because we're really about to hit you guys with some excellent sports conversation. You've got the Rewind Sports 60. We're back right after these.
The Rewind Sports 60 is ready for a quick timeout. When we return, there's more fun, excitement, and knowledge on tap for your entertainment. Come on back to the Rewind Sports 60 and bring a friend.
The Rewind Sports 60. Jerry Riles, Lillian Pagan, and Mai Akai bring you the best weekly sports talk. Let the Rewind Sports 60 put a bow on your week. Live Sundays at 6 p.m. from Crow's South Loop, 1736 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago. Or you could watch Sunday night at 10 on Cable 25. Complete your sports week and start the next. If it's sports you want, at the Rewind Sports 60, it's sports you'll get.
I can't tell you how excited I am about XOG. First of all, the technology is unlike anything you've ever seen. You know how some nights you just want one glass of wine, just one, maybe it's a weeknight, or maybe you're trying to follow a really healthy, active lifestyle right now, then XOG is perfect for you because you can control exactly what you're drinking. You know, if you're going to a picnic or a concert, you're going to the park, this is all you have to bring with you. The cups are there, the wine is there, you're good to go. I am loving the XOG mixed pack because it makes a great hostess gift, let's be honest. If you have a girlfriend who comes over and she wants a glass of Pinot Noir, no problem. Another one wants a glass of Pinot Grigio, we got you covered. XOG is perfect for that.
We're looking for something a little less
terrifying?
Absolutely.
Please.
We'll check out Yelp.
We did a great body shop. My wife just hit a deer.
You just froze.
It's cool. We know just the place.
I guess I need golf lessons?
I guess so.
That looks rad.
Whatever you need, whenever you need it. Check Yelp first. We know just the place.
After 50 years of business, Helix Camera and Video is entering a new era as a leading photographic retailer in the Chicagoland area. Helix Camera and Video offers a wide range of gear that's available in store and lots of products online at helixcamera.com. Helix's reputation of being the leading resource for underwater photography gear and telescopes remains second to none in the industry. The newly renovated retail store is located at 100 North Walnut Street in Itasca's former Village Hall building, across from the Metro train station. The first floor is dedicated to showcasing cameras, lenses, lighting, accessories, and supplies from major manufacturers, including Nikon, Canon, and Panasonic. The second floor offers a spacious 1,500 square foot event space that will be available for photography classes, workshops, new product demonstrations, vendor events, and local camera club meetings. For more of your camera and photographic needs, head on over to Helix Camera and Video in Itasca at 100 North Walnut Street, or find them on the web at helixcamera.com and tell them the Rewind Sports 60 sent you.
Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60 live from Crow's South Loop on Michigan Avenue with the best sports panel in Chicago. Jerry, Lillian, and Maya. Lock it in.
Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60. We're live at Crow's South Loop, 1736 South Michigan Avenue. Come on down, enjoy yourself. You just saw the young ladies. If you're just tuning in, the young ladies from Austin, Texas, bombarding, taking over the Rewind Sports 60. They're here in Chicago for a volleyball tournament, and we love the exchange with them. Outstanding young ladies, but they're here. They had the wings, they had the pizza, the whole 9 yards. I'm joined by Mai Akai and, of course, Joe Davenport here on the Rewind Sports 60. And ladies and gentlemen, what a fabulous opening to the show. But now we got to get down to serious business, and we got to talk about the debacle, the terribles over on West Madison at the United Center. This past week has not been really happy to the Chicago Bulls, more particularly going to the taking on the New York Knicks and losing to them on back-to-back nights, now finding themselves in 9th place in the Central Division, and chances are with 10 games left in the regular season, Fred Hoiberg and the Chicago Bulls, they may not make the playoffs. What's your assessment?
Okay, did I not give you this news flash like 3 weeks ago? That when they were sitting at 8th and they were hovering, I said, there's 4 teams within their division that really they're jockeying for that 8th seed. I mean, you had Detroit, you had Washington, and Chicago just has not played consistent basketball. So this is no shot. 10 games left, and it doesn't get easy because in the month of April, they're going to see the Cavs, Bucks, Grizzly, the Heat, teams that are going to give them a hard time. At this point, Detroit has put enough space between them. They're 3 games out to really close that last seed. This is not looking good for Chicago for a lot of reasons. And what we're hearing, more than anything else, are excuses. Dunleavy comes out and says, this is really about, we have the talent. It's about chemistry. Is it really about chemistry? Is it about talent? Is it about coaching? Or, as Joe and I were talking about before we start, is this about upper management after 13 seasons just not getting this right?
Joe.
I couldn't agree with you more, Maya. When you look at the Bulls and what they've been able to get accomplished, nothing. You talk about chemistry, excuse. When you talk about, is it injuries? No. This is about a situation where the Gar-Pax movement needs to come to a halt. The train has gone amok. It's time for Reinsdorf to make some tough decisions and look in another direction. You basically have the same team that was there the last year, and you're getting bad results. Jimmy Butler was out for a while, but that's no excuse. Thibodeau would have won without him. You had Derrick Rose out for a little while. Thibodeau would have won without him. You moved on from a coach. You didn't get better. You got worse.
So you guys are saying it's the front office, the reason that this Bulls team is 500 with 10 games left in the regular season and all the injuries that they sustained throughout the course of the regular season. You guys are putting it on the front office who've been around for 13 seasons and still have yet to produce anything.
Other teams in the NBA have to work through injuries. It's called creating depth. It's called you develop talent. So the whole conversation is this was all about Coach Thibodeau, what he could not do. That his defense was solid, but offense was soft, so they're going to shift gears and move to being more of an offensive team. All right, but then people didn't like the way that he substitute minutes used as well as he wouldn't develop talent.
Right.
So hence he exit, and they're paying him quite a bit of money to exit. But one thing he did consistently was he did make the playoffs and he won. But here's what's key: he knew how to get players to play for him. And if it's about chemistry, and if you're hearing things like Butler making comments about we're not really being pushed or being coached right, and then Taj Gibson comes out and says, how are we losing to trash teams? What they're telling you is they have no direction. They are not being coached, and that's one thing that Coach Thibodeau was not guilty of, was not being able to put a floor on the team that could win with or without injuries.
So is it the coaching staff or is it the front office? Because I understand the front office brought in a new coach, and Coach Fred, but is it more that they made a bad decision?
I think
evaluating who's bringing to the table.
When you look at the Bulls and their management from here on out, when you talk about winning championships, there are 3 tiers to winning a championship. You have to have talent, you have to have coaching, and you have to have administration or a front office that is committed to winning and making great decisions, to putting people in the right place to do the right thing. Right now, they have consistently shown Gar-Pax that they cannot do that consistently. You've had coaches change. You've had player personnel change. The only thing that hasn't changed is the upper management.
And so what happens during the offseason? Again, we don't know if the Bulls are going to make the postseason or not. So regardless if they make it or not, we know they're not going to go far into the playoffs. What happens during the offseason for the Chicago Bulls?
Well, I mean, you've got to be looking toward the lottery. You know, who are your top 15 guys? But if I'm Jerry Reinsdorf, I need to be making some tough decisions in the boardroom. Where is our franchise going? And if we do bring in a lottery pick, will that solve things? Do we give Fred Hoiberg another 3 years? Well, in this situation, you have to, because you're still paying my man Thibodeau. And then you have to pay Thibodeau, and you've got to pay Hoiberg if you get rid of him. So, but this is not a player personnel offseason. This is a management offseason.
And the bigger issue is, I mean, the Bulls suffer from the ills that the Bears suffer from. Having ownership that does not think in context of being a winning organization. Think about this. Unfortunately, you have an owner that owns the White Sox and the Bulls, and you almost see a mirror image of how both of these teams are constructed. So you get rid of Ozzie Guillen, and you go out and get Ventura, a yes man who works for Reinsdorf. You get rid of Thibodeau, who's I'm going to do it my way because this is how you win. You go get a yes man and Fred Hoiberg. By the way, so he coaches Iowa State, the Big 12, and I made the assumption he was a good coach. And he leaves, and they're still winning. So what does that mean? That maybe he wasn't the reason that they were winning. The bottom line we've seen, he looks confused when he sits on the bench. When things are not working, I look at him, he looks like a deer in the headlights. Like he doesn't know how to fix it because he just doesn't have that ability to know how to coach this team. And it's about injuries. Every team has injuries, but yet we've watched OKC work through their injuries. We've watched the Spurs work through their injuries. All these teams have had issues, but part of designing a winning organization is having depth and developing talent that you, first of all, you can't play Paul Gasol for 35 to 38 minutes. He doesn't have that ability because he's an older player, but he is clutch in what you need offensively. So they don't have enough development from anybody to substitute. They're not going to make the playoffs. Okay. I guarantee you that.
Well, that's not hard to guess.
But I said that 3 weeks ago.
You did say that. You did say that. But here's the speculation coming into this closure of the regular season. Still, you talked about Jimmy Butler and him blasting Coach Fred in the media. We've been through that. But now, toward the latter part of the regular season, it's being said that Derrick Rose is picking and choosing what nights he wants to really play and what nights he wants to just coast and go through the motion.
Well, again, when just piggybacking on what Maya just talked about, you're talking about a coach that does not have an authoritative swagger on the sideline. Nope. And that's what you need with these guys. You need a firm and fair position, a X's and O's guy, a guy who can manage not only talent but personalities. Not only personalities and talent, but you've got to be able to manage the injuries that every team has.
Now, let me ask you this. With the missing the fire, so to speak, from the coach on the bench, on the sidelines. And I'm stretching. I don't know. Could it be the fact that Fred Hoiberg has some health issues? I mean, he has some heart problems, and maybe he's not bringing that fire that we're used to seeing and we want to see here in Chicago because of that.
Rule 1, you do not get to make excuses for doing your job. They knew he had health issues when he came in. FYI, let's see, Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr does not start the season. Who steps in?
Luke Walton. But you're talking about a heart condition.
I'm just saying, either way.
Not a back condition, not a hip condition, not a knee condition.
You had an organization that has structure. So the wheel keeps turning even if you have to take a piece out. The Bulls don't have any of this in place whatsoever. And it's an issue overall. They just, everything from a lack of desire. I mean, you knew something was up with Derrick Rose when he was talking about free agency and the season hadn't even started. Right. There was already a lack of commitment. But then people got upset with Jimmy Butler when he stepped up and said, I'm willing to be the leader of the team. Maybe that conversation runs a lot deeper than anybody realized. But yet you've got Dunleavy making excuses, trying to cover up for Hoiberg and saying, we had chemistry issues even when, last season. This isn't new. But you were still able to win even when you had issues with chemistry on the floor. They have way too many issues, and you can go to the lottery and you can draft. But if you can't do the 3 things that a coach is supposed to do, which is draft, develop, and coach up, it doesn't really matter.
I've said this before, and I think the biggest Achilles heel for the Chicago Bulls, I think the real, why we're seeing everything we're witnessing, I truly believe it stemmed with the contract that Jimmy Butler received during the offseason last year. And it's when you, and Joe, you can attest to this and you can elaborate on this. When you have a bad seed or a bad apple or negative energy in your team structure, eventually it starts to spill over.
Yeah.
One player at a time, one game at a time. one step at a time.
Yeah, I agree with that. When you have a bad seed, it can spill over. It could, mess up the chemistry of everything. But when you talk about Jimmy Butler, with the commitment to excellence that he had in the offseason and the things that he sacrificed in the offseason, and he worked his butt off,
right.
That is what you want out of a leader. Right. You want someone who can step up in the locker room and be credible when you make accusations like that in the media.
See, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I hear everything that you stated during the offseason, the sacrificing, the hard work. But was that for Jimmy Butler or was that for the team? From the way I see it, it was all for Jimmy Butler. Once he got that contract, he busted his tail. Now, he deserved the money. There's no question about it because he worked at it and he earned it. But it gets to a point, a leader, just because you speak out, and just because you average 27 points a game doesn't make you a leader. And if you watch Jimmy Butler playing during the regular season, the floor is not spread, and he's not moving. He's waiting for a shot. If Derek takes a shot, if Paul takes a shot,
I disagree with that too.
No, well, watch the tape.
No, I watched the tape. I watched the game.
Watch the tape.
Listen, he defers far too much when Derrick Rose is on the floor.
Okay, and it's not even that. You're talking about a team that can't keep the same 5 people on the floor on a consistent basis. So maybe an issue is they have no continuity because nobody is really healthy. So maybe that's a stymie of why their offense is not good, nor their defense. It's not just Jimmy Butler. You're just not Team Butler. Just accept that.
And that's true. But I am Team The Rewind Sports 60. Mai Akai, Joe Davenport, it's Jerry Riles. It's The Rewind Sports 60. We're live at Crowell South Loop. Ladies and gentlemen, don't touch that smartphone. Don't touch that tablet. Don't touch that iPad. Come on right back. It's The Rewind Sports 60 right after these.
The Rewind Sports 60 is ready for a quick timeout. When we return, there's more fun, excitement, and knowledge on tap for your entertainment. Come on back to the Rewind Sports 60 and bring a friend.
This is George Bliss, and you can hear the replay of the Rewind Sports 60 right here on George Bliss Radio, or find us on the TuneIn app. Search George Bliss Radio.
My name is Jimmy Kim. I'm with More Than Scores and Tests. Our company combines a seamless integration of the traditional college consulting alongside academic tutoring business with a holistic understanding of how one part impacts the other.
The following 5 areas are where we focus our attention. First, college choice in the application process, extracurricular and special activities, major and career readiness, academic readiness, and financial readiness.
We come in as consultants knowing the landscape, knowing the mistakes that other families and students have made, and what kind of preparation really needs to go into thriving in a college, and using college as a platform for future successes instead of just focusing on getting into college. We really believe in equal opportunities for education, especially for students that may not have the privileged access that some of us do. I think that if we do a good job and equip the students for long-term success, that really benefits the students and the families, and that's what we really have as a goal in mind.
After 50 years of business, Helix Camera and Video is entering a new era as a leading photographic retailer in the Chicagoland area. Helix Camera and Video offers a wide range of gear that's available in store and lots of products online at helixcamera.com. Helix's reputation of being the leading resource for underwater photography gear and telescopes remains second to none in the industry. The newly renovated retail store is located at 100 North Walnut Street in Itasca's former Village Hall building, across from the Metro train station. The first floor is dedicated to showcasing cameras, lenses, lighting, accessories, and supplies from major manufacturers, including Nikon, Canon, and Panasonic. The second floor offers a spacious 1,500 square foot event space that will be available for photography classes, workshops, new product demonstrations, vendor events, and local camera club meetings. For more of your camera and photographic needs, head on over to Helix Camera and Video in Itasca at 100 North Walnut Street, or find them on the web at helixcamera.com and tell them the Rewind Sports 60 sent you.
Hey, it's Crazy Howard, and I'm inviting all to my spring party. It's the weekend, baby. baby. It's Crazy Howard's last Fridays. Meet me at Enzuri, 14112 Chicago Road in Dalton. Meet me there Friday, March 25th. Free food, a $500 steppers contest, and a whole bunch of party animals in the building. On the ones and twos from V103, Maurice Ice Cold Pepper. For details, go to CrazyRockEntertainment.com. Doors open at 7. Oh, shit!
Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60 live from Kroll's South Loop on Michigan Avenue with the best sports panel in Chicago. Jerry, Lillian, and Maya. Lock it in.
Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60. We are live here at Kroll's South Loop. We want you guys to check us out every Sunday here on the corner of 18th and Michigan Avenue, 6 to 7 p.m. But if you miss our broadcast, as the beautiful audience out here are letting you hear,
yes, I'm loving this.
If you do miss our broadcast, we do rebroadcast the show every Sunday night, 10 to 11 p.m. on Cable 25. Cable 25 in the Chicago Limit area. From north to south, east, and west. You can catch us on Comcast Cable, RCN, and WOW. I'm joined by Mai Akai and, of course, Joe Davenport, the assistant head men's basketball coach at Roosevelt University here in Chicago and former Daily basketball coach, head men's basketball coach over there. Welcome to the panel. And
thank you.
You know, you guys are fantastic when we talk about the NBA and, of course, breaking down the Bulls. Sooner or later, I'll get you guys on the right track as far as Jimmy Butler and the direction of this team.
No.
But we're going to stick with the NBA, and we're going to stick with one of the major fixtures as far as the NBA is concerned.
Is it? Is he?
He is a major fixture. I don't know if it's a negative or
he's polarizing.
He certainly is.
I would say that.
That, of course, and I want to introduce his alter ego. It's LeBron versus James. And this past week, LeBron James, his alter ego came out, and I don't know what the heck took over him, but, I mean, from mocking the media to saying he want to play with Carmelo Anthony and MP3 and Dwayne Wade and this fabulous basketball unity and among some other things that LeBron James has been doing this past week. The media as a whole is wondering, where's this coming from and where's this guy going?
Look, the media loves LeBron. I mean, he makes it interesting. It gives us something to talk about. I would say he's bizarro, LeBron.
Bizarro?
Bizarro.
Oh, okay, bizarro.
You got to be a super friends, the whole opposite Superman thing.
Okay.
But what's really interesting is that this is not surprising that this circus is going on. Remember when he
It's not?
No, it's not, because unfortunately we talked about this before the show. Collusion is something that most fans have come to dislike in the NBA. Meaning, let's get together and chat about somehow if we can be on the same team to win. Now, remember when that came out when he went to the Heat, how Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan was like, I don't have time. I wanted to play against them. I didn't want to be a team with them. This generation players have an entirely different mindset about what it means to win a championship. Seriously. So, to me, what LeBron is saying in his own right, he feels like he can't do it on his own without a cast of characters because what's going on in Cleveland right now is not working. I mean, obviously they get Kevin Love. They thought that would be a good fit. They go out and get Mozgov. They thought that'd be a fit. They go get Shumpert. They get, J.R. Smith from the Knicks. But it's not enough. I still say letting Wiggins go was a bad idea because that's building the foundation and the future of your team. But there's this impatience because everybody does have the expectation, whether it's right or wrong, that LeBron has to win in Cleveland.
Sure.
He's the prodigal son.
He wants to win.
And he wants to win.
He wants to win, but you really have to question not only what he said, but the timing in which he said those things. I mean, you're in the midst of a playoff hunt. You're trying to win, as we said earlier. You're trying to win a NBA championship in your home in Cleveland. Bring it home to the land, as they call it. But you want to do it with all these other cast of characters. What happened to the NBA and what made the NBA special was the competition. You wanted to see Magic versus Bird. Mm-hmm. You wanted to see Jordan versus the Pistons. Mm-hmm. You wanted to see those rivalry matchup and key matchups, and that's what drew people. Nobody wants to see a made-up team that was purposely created. Nobody wants to see that. They want to see competitors go head-to-head, and right now, these comments question, once again, LeBron James' competitive nature and his drive.
And that's the key question there. Is LeBron James coming across more as like a coward or scared? You talk about the old day, the old school as far as Jordan, Magic, Bird in the 80s, Isaiah. They all want us to play against each other. I don't want to play with them. I want to play against them. Michael Jordan said that all along when he first came up in the league, he was being ridiculed or make fun of because he didn't have a championship. Magic and Bird would always say, hey, look at my rings, look what I have. Nowadays, you're saying that this generation, they want to play together. It's been speculated through the media throughout this week that LeBron, could try to leave Cleveland. Is LeBron a coward, and is he just fearful because of the unexpected rise of the Golden State Warriors, and he feels that his team is not equipped to meet them in the finals and take them over?
Well, I hate to call another grown man a coward, but
in sports terms.
No, well, you have to be.
You want me to do it for you?
No, but you have to be a guy that has some competitive drive and some fortitude.
Yes.
He doesn't. Leadership is all about taking a group of people from where they are to where you are. If you're not doing that, you're not a leader. And that's what leadership is. And he's not a leader. Maybe he needs to, just groom the people you have to play in that environment. Have people believe in you. Have people wanting to root for you and play with you and get better because of you, not in spite of you. And right now, you have to question his leadership.
And it gets down to it. And what I think is interesting that he doesn't see is that, remember, the Bulls had their nemesis. At one time it was the Utah Jazz that was coming out of the West that they had to get past. So what LeBron should say, he's the number 1 seed out of the East. So chances of him not making it to the finals wouldn't make sense. So if Golden State is your new nemesis, that's good for basketball, but that should be what drives you. Now, you want to get better, but it shouldn't be because you think you have to have what you feel are those elite players to make that happen, because as it stands, Golden State is just a bunch of young men who like to play basketball.
And
are now really like celebrities and superstars because of their play and what they've done on the court. Before that, nobody was checking for them like that. So no one was taking Steph Curry seriously. No one was looking at, Klay Thompson or Draymond Green. But now you respectfully have to say, this is a team that has to be reckoned with. So if I'm LeBron, I'm in the locker room with my current team saying, guys, this is who we have to beat. Let's watch film. Let's figure this out. What are our weaknesses? How can we match up? We have to win this with what we have. Obviously, his mindset is just not there.
Well, knowing that this is more of an offensive league, this generation, as opposed in the past, let's just say, hypothetically, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, that team forms.
No.
Will they be a dominating team?
I'll tell you why.
In the East?
I'll tell you why.
In the East?
No, I'm talking about across the board. Will they emerge as one of those powerhouse teams? And I just don't see it, because as much as this league is driven by offense, you win with defense. That is a staple that will not change. Golden State had the number 1 offense and the top-rated defense last year. And this year, San Antonio is doing the same thing. And those are clearly the best 2 teams, head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in the NBA because of their defensive prowess.
I will say one thing that could be an advantage of creating that ensemble of players would be if you can get Chris Paul on the Cavaliers, you do have a true point guard.
Yes.
Which is something they don't have. You have somebody who would understand how to distribute the ball and scoring-wise. Now, Carmelo Anthony, I'm not quite sure who you're going to get, because sometimes he's on, sometimes he's off, and when he's disenchanted, I think he just doesn't show up. So It's hard for me to say if he's a plus or a minus with this, but I think Chris Paul could be a good addition, because the Cavaliers really do need a point guard, and I don't know that Kyrie Irving, because he's that hybrid guard that wants to score, your Derrick Roses, those kind of players who want to shoot opposed to distribute the ball.
Russell Westbrook.
I think that's been a detriment to how the Cavaliers have played. So you get a true point guard, that could be a plus, and that maybe moves forward, but I'm still with you on this. I still think there are better teams out there.
But here's one thing that Joe talked about earlier in the conversation regarding managing the personalities. When you talk about those 4 caliber players playing on the same team, we know what Chris Paul does out in Cleveland. With the Clippers in L.A. He runs the show. We know D. Wade and he and LeBron, when LeBron was in Miami, there was kind of speculation whose team it was. Now it's Dwayne Wade's. We know that. Carmelo Anthony is a soft spot, so to speak, but these are all leaders. If that team formed, whose team would it be?
I don't think...
Because you got a bunch of egos now.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be another dream team situation, how they got together in the U.S., the USA basketball situation. The only difference is that's for a limited short amount of time. This would be for a full season. Would they be able to have all those egos in check for an entire 82 to 100 and something games to win a championship? I don't know. That remains to be seen. The bigger question is who coaches that crew.
Very good question, because Lou, I'm not seeing that. That just doesn't seem like that's. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, because it's not about assembling this kind of talent together to make this work, in my opinion. LeBron is the center point of what makes the Cavaliers work. Yes, you need another scorer. Yes, you need a true point guard, but I'm with you on this. The chemistry. Once again, this could be a chemistry issue. D-Wade might just show up and get paid because he's got his ring.
Right.
And he might just do this for LeBron. It may not be a big deal. Chris Paul would like to have a ring. So maybe Carmelo would like to have a ring. You know, he forgone coming to the Bulls to go to the Knicks so he could still be that guy. Being that guy has not turned into much for him. So he might have a different attitude being on a team like the Cavaliers because he wants a ring. So if a ring is the goal, they might be able to meet each other halfway to make it happen. But they have to have that understanding before they all get there together.
What happens to LeBron James' legacy if he wins not another NBA championship?
Well, this is the funny thing about LeBron James. LeBron James will go down probably as the best statistical player in NBA history, okay? But when you talk in the barbershop about who's the best player, he will never get in that conversation with the Mikes. He'll never be in that conversation with Larry Bird. He'll never be in that conversation with Magic Johnson. He'll barely make the conversation with Isaiah Thomas. And Steph Curry could rise above him depending on how his career winds up in Golden State.
Look, add this in there. He may not even be in a conversation with Kobe, who has the stats, but got the rings.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, and talk about a personality that was often hard for people to get along with and to navigate past as a coach. But what he did, he won when he was in his prime. Bottom line. So, I mean, you're great, like you said, on paper, but if he doesn't get another ring, you know what? At least we can say this. He wasn't a high school to pro bust, because technically he got a ring. So he did at least live up to the hype, and I think that part would be important.
Did leaving Cleveland hurt him long term?
I don't think so. No, because
from a fan's perspective,
he achieved what he went down there to do. He didn't win not 5, not 6, not 7. He won 2, which is good, which is more than most NBA players. But can I get this in before? Mike alluded to it earlier. As much LeBron bashing as we talk about, one thing I will give LeBron credit for, in this age of social media, in the age of pro ball players having all the money and all the stuff that's going on, he has yet to get in any type of scandal, any extramarital deal. He's always been a positive force in the community.
You know what? Joe Davenport doing a heck of a job, assistant men's basketball coach at Roosevelt University. Mai Akai always bringing it. Folks, we always bring it, and we want you to bring it as well. It's the Rewind Sports 60. One more time out. Come on back. There's more to come. NCAA March Madness tournament conversation right after these.
The Rewind Sports 60 is ready for a quick time out. When we return, there's more fun, excitement, and knowledge on tap for your entertainment. Come on back to the Rewind Sports 60 and bring a friend.
I lost my daughter Chrissy to cancer, but in her final hours, she chose to give me the ultimate gift. My vision was failing, and through a cornea transplant, Chrissy gave me the gift of sight.
It takes less than a minute to join the Secretary of State's Organ and Tissue Donor Registry.
The eyes are the mirror to the soul, so I'm seeing my great-granddaughter through Chrissy's eyes.
Go to lifegoeson.com.
Chrissy's gift changed a life. You can too.
For something a little less
terrifying?
Absolutely.
Please.
We'll check out Yelp.
We did a great body shop. My wife just hit a deer.
He just froze.
It's cool. We know just the place.
I guess I need golf lessons?
I guess so.
That looks rad.
Whatever you need, whenever you need it. Check Yelp first. We know just the place.
The Rewind Sports 60. Jerry Riles, Lillian Pagan, and Mai Akai bring you the best weekly sports talk. Let the Rewind Sports 60 put a bow on your week. Live Sundays at 6 p.m. from Crow's South Loop, 1736 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago. Or you could watch Sunday night at 10 on Cable 25. Complete your sports week and start the next. If it's sports you want, at the Rewind Sports 60, it's sports you'll get. After 50 years of business, Helix Camera and Video is entering a new era as a leading photographic retailer in the Chicagoland area. Helix Camera and Video offers a wide range of gear that's available in store and lots of products online at helixcamera.com. Helix's reputation of being the leading resource for underwater photography gear and telescopes remains second to none in the industry. The newly renovated retail store is located at 100 North Walnut Street in Itasca's former Village Hall building, across from the Metro train station. The first floor is dedicated to showcasing cameras, lenses, lighting, accessories, and supplies from major manufacturers, including Nikon, Canon, and Panasonic. The second floor offers a spacious 1,500 square foot event space that will be available for photography classes, workshops, new product demonstrations, vendor events, and local camera club meetings. For more of your camera and photographic needs, head on over to Helix Camera and Video in Itasca at 100 North Walnut Street, or find them on the web at helixcamera.com and tell them the Rewind Sports 60 sent you.
Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60 live from Kroll South Loop on Michigan Avenue with the best sports panel in Chicago. Jerry, Lillian, and Maya. Lock it in. The Rewind Sports 60 is ready for a quick timeout. When we return, there's more fun, excitement, and knowledge on tap for your entertainment. Come on back.
What's his number?
The Rewind Sports 60. Jerry Riles, Lillian.
Welcome back to Kroll South Loop, 18th and Michigan here in Chicago. Folks, we're having a blast here talking NBA, talking LeBron James, and, of course, Mai Akai and Joe Davenport from Roosevelt University, assistant men's basketball coach, and, of course, formerly of Daly College here in Chicago on the panel as we wind things down. But, of course, things continue to heat up here in Chicago, as a matter of fact. It was the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, and now we have half the field for the Final Four. How's your brackets doing?
My bracket is gone.
Busted. It was busted like the first round, to be honest. But at least my Final Four was intact until Kansas bowed down to Villanova.
Yes.
I was looking forward to that Villanova-Kansas matchup ever since the brackets came out. I thought the guard play was going to be intriguing. I thought the fact that Oshefu was playing so much better down the stretch, going up against the bigs of Kansas, Lucas and company. I was just really intrigued, not only by that matchup, but then the way the game played out. I was proud of Villanova, the way they were able to squeak that game out.
They won at 64-59 over Kansas, and I stated this last week. We talked about Bill Self and always getting there. I think he's been there 12 of the last 16 times, but unfortunately, I think only get one championship out of the deal. His team, for some reason, very talented ball team, a veteran team, but unfortunately, Bill Self finds a way to not get over the hump. And you said, hey, everybody can't win every year, but he shows up every year to fall out. nearly every year.
There can only be one, Jerry.
That's true.
There can only be one. And Villanova, let's be honest, they've been absent since 2009. That was their last Final Four appearance. So they've had several seasons where they haven't been there. Jay Wright has spent a lot of seasons rebuilding this team. In fact, for me, I was telling Joe, this is like a really nostalgic kind of March Madness. It takes me back to the 80s and 90s when ACC and Big East basketball was dominant. I'm like, I'm feeling like the Villanovas, the Georgetowns, the Syracuse, the Dukes, the UNC. Those were the teams that used to dominate the field so big in the 80s and 90s. Now you get a little bit of the Big 12 kind of coming in, but the ACC and the Big East have really rebounded nicely. And you talk about Bill Self on the same conversation, you could say that about Duke. Coach K is there every single season. You can't win it every year, but the thing is, can you keep your team relevant enough to keep talent on the floor and make the tournament year in and year out? That's not an easy task to do.
No, it's not easy at all. Joe, real quick, as far as the outcome of the game, Nova and Kansas, there's controversy all around the Twitter world, social media, that said it was a controversial call at the end with 34 seconds left in the game. Villanova up 56-54, and Devontae Hill stripped of the ball. He goes for the loose ball, crashes into Josh Hart for Villanova, and the officials called a foul. First of all, the rule of thumb is you don't call a foul. You let the players decide the outcome with less than a minute in the ball game. The second thing is, was it really a foul because the ball was stripped and players are taught to dive after a loose ball? What was your...
Well, there are a couple different takes from a coaching perspective. I can look at that and take away. The first thing is you have to manage that. Sometimes you get, the bad call, but Villanova, those last 30 seconds, they had to come down and make free throws. They had to seal the deal with free throws, and Villanova made those plays. Sure. The second thing as a coach, what I would tell my players, and I would just Snapchat that little piece of footage right there, because you saw the Villanova player bend over and get the ball. You saw Devontae really go after it and dive after the loose ball, and the person that dove after the ball got the loose ball. And those are the situations in tight, critical moments on one of the biggest stage with a lot at stake. Those are the possessions that you need. There was a foul call. They didn't retain possession, but the effort was there. And as a coach, I can applaud that.
Right, but at a crucial situation, and you're taught to dive after the basketball, but you get penalized because you taught to do just what he did, and the officials took it away from him, Maya.
I mean, you would like to see that not be called and let the game play out for what it's worth. I think that's how everybody feels. Don't let the game end on something that really is kind of ticky-tacky.
The game didn't end on that. It was a controversial call that came at a tipping point in the game.
Exactly.
But as a coach, you benefited from that sometimes, and as a coach, you've been stripped of a little bit of momentum as a result of a call like that. You have to play through that. You've got to be mentally tough to play through that. And Bill Self is one of the masterminds as getting mentally tough as they come teams. So I don't think that he's going to blame the game on that. Like I said, Villanova had to make plays down the stretch, and they did that to win the game.
But you also talked about one of the things that has really made Villanova a force to be reckoned with. Let me just say this. I had to do the bow down when Iowa had to play them. I was like, oh, this is over. This is a wrap. And that's my team. That was it's a wrap, because we are not designed to play a team like this. But one thing you talked about is the leadership, which is part of the mental toughness, having seniors, having a team that isn't kind of one and dones. And I think that makes a difference in this tournament. I think it's made a huge difference. Kind of break down Villanova, how you've seen what has really been their upside, because you said some good key points about them.
Well, Villanova, first of all, has an inside-out game. The second thing about Villanova, they've got balance, and they've got veteran leadership at the decision-making guard position, and they have outside shooting. They can win in multiple different ways. The game before that, they played and they shot the ball at about 50, almost 60%, and they can play at a high scoring volume. And the game they played the other night against Kansas, they shut down Kansas defensively. They were frisky. They beat them to spots defensively. They played position basketball, and they dominated the defensive glass. And they muddied it up a little bit, as we say in the coaching industry. That means they didn't give them anything easy. It was physical, and Kansas did not respond to that physical game.
Syracuse and Virginia are battling it out to see who goes to the Final Four to play in Houston, Texas, along with Notre Dame and North Carolina. But we do know Oklahoma will be heading down to Texas as part of that Final Four unit. Talk about the performance of Buddy Hill getting his team to the Final Four. 37-point performance in an incredible basketball game.
I love Buddy Hill. I wasn't able to watch him earlier in the year, but Buddy Hield is a testament of what happens in 4 years from a basketball development perspective.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He was able to stay 4 years, develop his game. He could have gone in the draft last year, may have been a second-round player, may have gone overseas, may have gone to the D-League, but he stayed for a 4th year, and he has played with that competitive fortitude and that toughness that every big-time player plays with. He's carried Oklahoma 37 points. There is only one player that has scored more points than him in the first 4 games of the finals, and his name is Stephen Curry.
Exactly.
There you have it. That speaks volumes right there. I mean, what I think you're going to see in this Final Four, because I'm expecting, I could be wrong, that Virginia, I haven't seen the scores, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm expecting they're going to advance. And what will make this Final Four so unique is you have teams that are good on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And one of the things we were talking about Virginia and what Syracuse was struggling with is that Virginia they're big in the post. So what they were doing is they were forcing Syracuse, they were taking away the post play, they were only getting 15 to 17-foot jumpers, they had to take threes. This is going to be a different dynamics. It's the one time you'll say that defense might win you a championship. And that's not something we think about much in college basketball because offense is always pushed ahead of everything else.
You know what? We talked about the mid-majors last week, and we talk about watching the NCAA tournament, and fans alike, we're always looking for that Cinderella story. The Cinderella story, whether it's a Butler coming out one year, whether it's a Gonzaga showing up, whether it's Virginia, Commonwealth, or whoever.
It's not Notre Dame.
Is Syracuse the Cinderella story for this tournament?
Oh, absolutely not. I love Syracuse, and they're a double-digit team that they've. I hate to this just in.
Go ahead, say it.
Syracuse has beat Virginia.
Get out!
They have come back in the second
Cinderella
half,
story.
Has come back to. They're not a Cinderella, Jerry.
Yeah, no.
They're a 10th seed, knocking off a number 1, going to the Final Four. How more of the Cinderella story can it be?
Listen, Syracuse. Is a team that recruits nationally. They have facilities that are next to none. They play in the ACC. They are a team that produces revenue with their basketball program. They have a Hall of Fame coach. This is not a Cinderella.
Joe, there was speculation, and Jason Zinner, our technical director, just shouted out to say, hey, they were a bubble team. There were pundits and experts around the country to say Syracuse didn't even deserve to be in the tournament. Now they're going to the Final Four, and you don't call them a Cinderella story?
The reason that Syracuse was a double-digit seed was because Jim Boeheim was out for the first 6 or 8 games of the season, and they went through some issues.
Yes. Sure.
But the way they played since Jim Boeheim has been back is the way they would have played the whole season.
But and they didn't.
There would have been no question that Syracuse would have been.
And didn't we say that coaching is so paramount?
Nuts.
Wait a minute, but we just talked about how paramount coaching is.
If we're 5th, we'd all be drunk. What are you talking about?
Now, I hate that we couldn't see the rest of the game because I want to know exactly what happened in the second half.
Yeah.
Because Virginia went into halftime with a 15-point lead, and they were, dominating Syracuse. See, that's when coaching makes a difference.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we talked about is that you look at how the field has changed so dramatically in college basketball, where the ACC, though it can be dominant, and the Big East feels like it's making a return, coaching makes the difference in college.
And you guys make a difference. You guys make a difference, and you guys make a difference at home. It's the Rewind Sports 60. Mai Akai, thank you as usual for joining us on this Easter Sunday. Joe Davenport, we'll see you for Final Four action next week. Folks, it's the Rewind Sports 60. Good night, everybody.